Have you noticed that you should be doing better in life? Your goals are not really there. They're always just one step away. And no matter what you do, no matter how many YouTube videos you watch, no matter how much social media reels and tips make you better, and yes, you are getting better, but you're not actually closer to where you want to go. So I found looking at everybody else around like everyone I know, everybody has their certain patterns. There's these personality bites that they live by. And some are very long-term type of personality traits, but almost everybody has a loop that they live in. They kind of do the same things over and over. They become the same person over and over again, and they never actually change. So in this video, I want to tell you about how I actually broke my own loop, because I know this because I've been doing this for, I think, a few years now. I've just been living these loops and just learning, taking steps forward, back, sideways, left, changing, thinking I'm becoming different and better. But really, that loop just kept continuing. It just kept getting bigger, that there would be more steps in it. And I want to share with you how I got out of this, how you can actually do this and make something a little bit more of yourself, where you can really begin accomplishing the goals and becoming that person you want to be. Now, the first thing you have to do is realize that you are caught in this loop. When you start looking at your life and call your life your loop, then you start to see, holy crap, everything I've been doing has just been doing the same thing over and over. And this is a result of like your personality traits, right? And this is the desires that you have are driving some of the motivation. Say, I really love sweets. I end up snacking a lot. I love chocolate. I love like cheap chocolate, like Snickers and stuff. Those things are keeping me heavy, right? I've got the extra fluff, but I know that if I didn't snack and I wasn't a person that loved those things and habitually went back to those, then I would be slimmer. I would be more trim. Same with like how active I am. So my life is my patterns and my loop. And sometimes when I get better and I think I'm doing more and so on, I'm just taking that loop and I'm stretching it out. I'm adding steps into it, but it's still doing the same thing. It's looping back to failure over and over. So that brings me to the second point. How do you change that? First thing is you have to recognize that if you don't change, nothing will change. You have to actually realize that change doesn't mean add on or switch goals or something like that. It's you have to be somebody different. You have to look and say, hey, what would this person do? A lot of people say, what would Jesus do, right? And then you think, okay, and act as accordingly. And then you start to become more like Jesus, right? Like, or whoever it is. Lately, I've been thinking James Bond, right? And that's why I'm like, I tucked in my shirt, right? I'm trying to think, what would James Bond do? And I just have this new obsession with James Bond. I think he's badass. I think there's flaws of him, but as far as this aura that he has, he's my favorite right now. So I think, okay, well, would James Bond eat that Snickers? Hell no. James Bond would scoff at the idea of a snack like that. James Bond would like to have a nice, fine cuisine dessert or something homemade, something very rich, perhaps. I feel like ice cream is James Bond, maybe, but a Snickers is cheap candy? No. So I realize within this is that change has to be deep and rooted in a different identity than what I am. So my identity currently, the loop that I'm living in, is I like sweets, I like Snickers, I like Twix. But James Bond doesn't have that. That identity of him is easy for me to understand. Does Jesus love Snickers? He thinks they're great, but does he personally want them? No. Like, no. Same with James Bond. Like, he's not like, oh. And I think of like the very classy people. My uncles are some of the classiest people ever, right? And I think, do they like Snickers? Like, yeah, they'll grab one here and there, but they don't try to have one as often as I do. And that's what I'm trying to say is like there's identity markers that you have to shift. And that is big. That's the second point. You have to change or nothing will change. And that change has to be deep into your character and your identity. People throw around the word identity a lot, but they're not really thinking about true identity. You're just thinking, oh, identity, like this word means nothing. But if you think about it, it's like, what is the brand which is the other word I want you to start looking at for the word identity, like James Bond. Does the brand of James Bond eat Snickers often? No, because his identity, his brand is not that. And that's why I'm so big on personal branding lately, because that labeling is so important for a man's life, for your business, and for your personal life, because this is a identity shift. This is a brand shift to who you are and what you're going to stand by and the way you're going to live and accomplish the goals that you want. So you have a higher level that says, I want money, I want fitness, I want relationships, I want good health. These things are your highest form of self. That is not identity. And then we take that and put it into a personal brand, and we form it and shape it into something that really suits your taste, that higher level taste. I like to have a darkness to mine, a very Dark Knight Batman-ness to my history. This is what drives some of my choices. And I want to show you that personal branding is what gets you there. How you get in shape is because you get to look at your identity and your brand and say, no, that is not the person I want to become. That is not the brand that I'm going to put out there. And it's not external in that sense, like, oh, I'm putting out a brand out there. That's not for them. It's, what are you radiating? What is this identity that you're putting out there? And I really feel like, I know I'm hammering down the second point so much, but that identity is massive. And that identity is your brand. And that brand is the result of all of you. So I'm going to tell you exactly what to do to make this shift. And it's going to be a little bit hard, but it's going to be worth it. In fact, it might be quite hard for you because it's been a challenge for me, but that's okay, because the person I am right now is a person who, loves that challenge, a person who thrives at the wall to push against, to see what I'm made of. Where before, it was just some hill that I'm trying to overcome for this false summit that as soon as I get to the top, realize there's a new one. But this is somebody who's just like, no, it feels good. Like a dog going for a run loves to feel their muscles burn and get that exercise, burn off that energy. That's what you want to become with all that you're creating. So first thing, you want to take a tally of everything you're doing, from how much social media you're consuming, where you consume it, how often you watch YouTube, how do you consume corn, what other bad habits, how badly you eat. Just look at it. Don't worry about changing it, because you're not going to change your habits. The key is to become a different person. This is the hack that I've found, and it's absolutely the most helpful thing. So think about it in a sense of trying to get in shape. Do you want to be a person who fights eating healthy all the time and, just always fighting your habits and wanting that Snickers? Or do you want to be a person who doesn't want the Snickers, who never has to have that fight? It's minimalism about your identity and your brand and your personality and everything, right? So that's the way you want to do it. You want to start looking at the things that you're doing, first of all, and understand, what is your current identity? What is your current personality and the things you're doing? Then say, well, what do I want them to be? And once you realize how you want to be, you start looking for models of some sort that are more like that, so you can visualize that person. I said I want to look more like James Bond. I want to have that aura and that vibe of James Bond. So I'm looking at James Bond going, what would he do? What would he look like? Oh, you know what? He has well-fitted clothing. I don't need to spend a bunch of clothing, because James Bond, if he had my certain amount of financial difficulty at the moment, he wouldn't care about that. He would just make it work. So I'm going to buy a sewing machine, and I'm going to learn how to tailor my clothes very well, like James Bond. That is a new identity that I'm just going to be like, no, it's unacceptable to have ill-fitting clothing. It's unacceptable to have sloppy clothing that are baggy and oversized and look like whipped cream melting on a summer day. That is not James Bond. James Bond is deliberate. So that identity, I go, yeah, let's do that. Let's tuck in the shirt. That's going to be the decision. And I am going to wear something like nice sneakers. These are Koyo white. And that's because that is something that's elevated. Now, do I wear these to the toll job? No, No, that's not what it's about. I think you have to understand the identity. And then again, like I said, find a model for that. So the identity of me in my worker mode is still my old school. There's absolutely no problems with my old school blue collar work mode. I was saying in an email in the newsletter, which you should sign up for my newsletter. I have a bunch of tips almost every day, and they're nice short emails, but sign up for that and you can get some tips in there for free. And I was talking about how I want to get rid of my gold G-Shock and put it in a drawer. And then I was like, later on, I'm like, no, because the model of that fits somewhere in my life. It fits in my worker mode and my old school blue collar Jeff. I like that G-Shock a lot, and it works for getting beat up but still being flashy and blingy and just a little bit playful. And that's fine, because if I'm going to be in tactical mode, I'm going to be in tactical mode. If I'm going to be in YouTube mode, I'm going to be in YouTube mode. And when I'm going to go out for dinner, I'm going to go a little bit extra for dinner now. And that's what I'm talking about. Harness the model, the idea, instead of just trying to change who you are as a identity, because that is who you are. You can't change that person that you are right now. You have to become somebody new. That's how you break these habits. You don't break them by breaking them, you break them by removing them. Get rid of them. This is what minimalism is about in the identity. And this is seriously the best hack. I'm telling you, you have to start understanding who you are first, and then find a model to, you could say, copy or replicate or inspire to be more like. And that's going to give you, it's going to make you that much closer, because you know all the answers. You don't have to watch a YouTube video to be like, oh, what would James Bond do? It's like, you can do that for fun, sure, but you already know inherently. If you understand a brand well enough, a model, an identity, then you can just be like, yeah, that's what they would do, of course. Like you think of a Ninja Turtle, right? What's the difference between Leonardo and Donatello? Of course, like the brand of Donatello is going to be intellectual, and Leonardo is going to be all leader and serious and stuff. It's like, well, what would Leonardo do? Well, he would make a big decision that would maybe hurt his own ego and something that goes against his own personal things, as long as his values are in check. But Donatello would be like, let's analyze all the outcomes and let's make a logical decision here. It's like, you just understand branding. That's why I'm so into the personal branding. This is it. It's just, I think the wording of branding has become tainted with the internet lately. But this is the way I see it, and this is what my program's all about. This is what I teach. You have to become an authority online with your brand, and you can, in your business or with the people around you, you have to stand for something, so that authority is something that's predictable in a way that they can look at you and just know you. Oh, that's Leonardo. Oh, that's Donatello now. Oh, he's a lot more like Michelangelo these days. He's like a really fun character. Like, I like hanging out with him. Like, and then Raphael's just an asshole, but whatever. It's just a side note. But this is how I want you to start thinking about your identity. So listen, you have to realize that this is something you have to start changing right now. You think that you're not ready. You think you have to do a few things first, but you don't. You have to actually start making this change and start the process immediately, because you are in the loop. And if you don't stop that loop, it's just going to keep going, just going to keep saying the same thing, keep going to have to fix this. And now you're trying that, and then something new comes up. There's always something. It's never going to be perfect. So you have to actually do something about this. And I want to help you with that. If you're ready for that and you want me to do that with you, I will do it and do the work with you. This is not just a coaching thing. I'm going to be there helping you create these parts of your life for you. So your brand is something that you're so proud of and that you thrive off of, and is there to make you money, propel your fitness, your relationships, and everything online and in your real life. It's the most important thing you can do, especially now. Think of what AI is doing. It's just taking over everything that humans used to do. So the best thing to do, as far as I'm concerned, is be more human, and then use that AI to propel the humanoid parts of you online. And then you're digital, but you're real, and you're really deliberate within who you are. You're like a walking X-Acto blade. So I want you to realize that you have to do something today. It's not okay to think that I can wait or I have to make more money. I'm not even saying if you don't want to work with me, that's fine. I'm just trying to say, in the lesson here is that do something right now. Start taking a tally, journal, and look at the things that you're doing. Understand who you are right now. Do this today. That's not going to take you that much effort. Just make an Apple Notes and just be, every time you did something, be like, oh, I did this, or I don't know, whatever it is you want to do, you have to take a tally on who you are because it matters. You have to do something. The action is the key point and the key takeaway that I want you to start thinking about. So I want to talk about action because it is one of the most important things. Now, I want to tell you about how I want to look. Like I said, James Bond is my current weird obsession. I want to look like James Bond. Yes, I want to be strong and healthy and have longevity to my life, but vain personal taste, I want to look like James Bond, and I want to have that feel when I walk into a room that I am closer towards that than anybody else in the room, as much as I can be. So that takes actual change, like I said, but that change has to now start being acted upon, not as me, but as that identity that I'm choosing to become and to put on. And I want to harness that. And I think to myself, I don't want to eat that food. Then I think, like I said, the Snickers, and I want to tell you how the action takes place. Get the insight right now of what it looks like in real life of this YouTube video here, right? So yesterday there was some free food and I brought some food for lunch. So I'm not near any snacks or anything. I brought a couple hard-boiled eggs, a couple cherry tomatoes, some strawberries, some healthy food, because when I'm packing that lunch, I'm like, James Bond wouldn't pack a sandwich. What? That's fucking stupid, right? He packed something that'd be nutritious, get him through the day, not a big deal. He's there to do a job, and end of story, you need some nutrition and he'll snack. If he wants a nice meal, he'll go out to dinner with somebody and have a nice meal. But he'll just go out alone and have a nice meal. But when he's in the middle of the job, that you don't need to eat fancy. So I was like, just fast all day, and I'll have that towards the end of the night. So I get to work, and I forgot there's a party there with a bunch of foods, snacks, whatever, and it's like a lot of it. And I was like, oh, you know what we have here? There's some meatballs and so on. So I was like, okay, well, if I want to get ripped and shredded and look like James Bond, I need to eat healthy. James Bond would come in here and be like, oh, well, what's good? What is nutritious? What gets me through the day? What tastes good? Serves the little bit of cravings that I'm feeling with the smells. And I go to the meatballs and I'm like, I'm just going to have just the meatballs. Like protein. Protein is satiating. It's going to keep my hunger staved off towards later. And then there were some deviled eggs. So I was like, okay, meatballs, deviled eggs, and I had a soda, Coke Zero. I was like, okay, cool. And guess what? After that day, and I did the veggies and the egg, I got home and I'm starving. I'm hungry again because I'm still get this pattern into my old identity. And then I'm like, oh, I should make a burger. I'm like, no, I'll do that tomorrow, which was today. And I had a burger for lunch because, I'm still working on it. But the actions took place. And then when I woke up this morning, guess what? I was down 2 pounds. I lost 2 pounds in 2 days. And this was not doing anything crazy. I went for little walks. I had like 8,000 steps the past 2 days. I just started taking action. And these were little things. Like, for instance, when I did walk, I power walked because I wouldn't have time for fitness, like to go to the gym. Although I went to the gym 2 days ago, both walks on both days, I was like, I'm going to hit this a little harder. Like, go walk, and I'm tightening my stomach. And when I'm at work, I'm standing instead of sitting, and I'm taking these action steps that I'm adopting is that of this character that I'm putting on. And sometimes it can feel fake, but I know it so well. And now I did it. Guess what? I did it. I took these actions. I was that person that made the choice. I was that person that did the power walking and made it to the gym and just kept pushing it and watched what I ate and then did my laundry, did all the things, took care of myself. I took that actions, and those actions are proving that I am now, as a matter of fact, more like James Bond and getting the body that James Bond has. Bam, mission accomplished. I am already that person. Do I have the body today? No, but if I just keep doing this and I keep becoming this by actions, then I will become that person I want to be. That is how you change. It's action steps. The action isn't like this dumb YouTube thing that people always talk about. That's a very empty word for a lot of people. I'm saying take action in the way that you go, I know what to do. What would Jesus do? What would Daniel Craig do? Whatever. So that is the idea here. Now, if you want help finding out what suits you, your brand, how you can show up that is really within your taste, how to refine what's going to work for you, how to get over the humps, and how to build these things, such as how your landing page copy will be, how your website, what you're going to do with social media. If you want to do these things and show up and be able to be like, have an Instagram, for example, that's so badass, even if you're poor, that a girl checks it out because she followed your dating profile Tinder thing. She gets in, she goes, oh, damn. And there's no red flags, and there's, it's not just super pompous and perfect. There's also variables, how to do that, how to organize all that, like I've been doing for the past 15 years, and building my own personal brand and changing it and having almost no rules. Like I've been too rigid. Oh, it must be teal and brown, and this orange must be this type of orange and desaturated. Yeah, I get it now. All of that takes it plays a piece on the board, but it's not the whole picture. So again, if you're looking for that, click the link below. I'm here to help you. This is my passion. This is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to make you look cooler than you are, and then through actions, you will be a cooler person, and that person that you are now, dead. They're gone. You'll never ever go back. There's no relapse in branding. You just become the new person. You don't change who you are. You change who you become.